Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we talk about our favorite video games and all things pop culture with an emphasis on our favorites. We're your hosts, Jared, Mauro, and Chaz.
Hey, my name is Mauro. This is my voice. This is Mauro's voice that is attached to Mauro.
Hello, welcome. I am one of the great members of the Weeb Nation, and I hope you guys enjoy your time here.
Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Links to them are down below. And with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time.
All right, so what I'm gonna start off with by explaining to you guys why I recommended this anime. I like this anime because you get to see a character, a very strong character. As strong and as old as she is, she still has character development after being alive for 1,000 years, and I like that we get to watch that character development happens. And it sadly happens after she loses somebody that she finally got close to that isn't Flame. Which you guys know Flame is her first mentor, but like she goes
mentor, right?
Flame?
Flame. Yeah, I thought it was Flame too.
Flame. I suck at this. You gotta forgive me on the names. I'm gonna butcher a lot of them. All right, because it can be Hider, Hater, Heater. I don't know. We're gonna go through all the Hiter. See, I'm not gonna go through this very well with names. But like outside of her first mentor, she spent a lot more time with the heroes party that she was with. And when they lost the hero, she's finally like starting to like realize things in the past while like she likes knowledge. So she seeks why humans do what they do with the little lifespan that they have. Because a human being alive for 50, 60 years is minuscule to her. Like she will go like search up flowers for about 200 years. And go through 2 generations of humans and wonder why humans waste their time with measly war and everything. So that's what I wanted you guys to see is like the character development she has. And she finds joys in things and realize why she likes certain things.
We're talking about Frieren, everybody. Frieren Journey Beyond Journey's End.
I did forget to mention that.
No, you're good. Yeah, so quick thoughts, right? Like I absolutely love this anime. I was not prepared for the actual journey that this show was going to take me on. A really cool tidbit is we've had one of the voice actors that is in this show. She plays Laufin, Marissa Duran. She was a guest on this show. So shout outs to her. I mainly started watching this series in preparation for our interview with Marissa Duran. So like, you know, she's not a main character, but she's like, you know, a secondary character in the first class mage exam arc of the show. But so I've been meaning to watch this already, and it was sitting on my list. Here's like a perfect excuse, perfect opportunity. Great, loved it. The first 2 episodes, my God, it's crazy how this show can make us feel so much for characters that are at the end of their journey. We know nothing about them, virtually nothing. And yet, by the end of that second episode, I'm like, holy shit, this thing is gonna wreck me. I can already tell.
Yeah, because it starts off with like meeting the hero back in his town because she finally came back to grab the horn.
Yeah.
And him was like, I've been waiting for you. And if it became closest dying days, I was going to find you to return this gift to you because it means a lot. And so like you're watching that whole episode and they go to see like the stars that she promised them back when they first defeated the Demon Lord. And it was absolutely amazing. And then like it's sad because like right after they watch the stars, the shooting stars that night.
Yeah.
Literally like the next scene was just him in the casket. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different experience than you guys because instead of watching the anime, I read the manga, and I'm not caught up. I'm in like the mid 30s or something. But I didn't get the music or whatever, right? But it's still so interesting, dude. It's a very interesting premise. I heard about Frieren just like over a year ago. I was at a Mystic Joint playing D&D with some people, Dungeons and Dragons, obviously, and because it's like literally Dungeons and Dragons, some guy like recommended it to me. This was back when the show was first coming out. I didn't watch it or read it back then, But the premise was very interesting because you don't really think about this, right? When there's an elf in the party, in like the high fantasy, it's understood that this elf is like, the elves have like very long lifespans. So it's interesting to see the end of the journey. It's fresh, it's refreshing. The end of the journey, and then as life just keeps going on. And the elf, like, this is just a fragment of their life.
Yeah.
But for a human, this is their whole life. Like, this is something that they cherish deeply. And I like how, like Chaz said, right? We don't know, or you, I guess, we don't know anything about these characters, but we do learn about them through flashbacks later on. It was very interesting. I was always down for Frieren. It just I never had the time, and I'm so glad that like I was able to that we're recording this episode, because it gave me like, okay, all right, get into it. Start it right now.
Which is kind of like the whole point of the show, which I love.
Yeah.
So something I absolutely love in storytelling, I think, and this is said for Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, where I love stories where we don't start at the beginning, where we start with those other shows.
In Media Ray, that's the I guess the trope, right? You start like in the middle of something or at the end of something.
Yes, yeah. So like for Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop, we are in like the second or third act of these characters' story. Right, and then we get to figure out the beginning stuff as we go on, and same thing here with Frieren, where we're not. It's interesting. There's an interesting little difference here with Frieren, is we're not at the end of Frieren's journey or story. We're at, I don't know, maybe the middle, but we're at the end of her party's story, the party of heroes, right, that defeated the Demon King and whatever. We're at the end of that story in an era of peace where now, Frieren starts to notice, like, I've taken so much of what time is, and like I've taken so much for granted that I never really got to invest or learn about the people that are around me, the friends that I have made along the way, because that's also another trope in animes. Like, what's important, what's like one of the key things in most animes is the friends that we made along the way. That's what gives us power. That's what allows us to defeat the great evil and yada yada. But like Frieren's point of view is what differentiates this anime from like any other shonen or any other medieval fantasy type of anime that is very common. I remember that this was a contender for anime of the year, I think, when it came out. It was going up against Solo Leveling, right, Chaz?
Yes, it was.
But Solo Leveling won.
If the thing is, right, if it wasn't for Solo Leveling, it absolutely would have won, because this was a very popular manga in Japan when it was coming out. Like, it was very popular, I read. And with good reason too. It's like I said before, it's a refreshing premise. What hooked me was when I was reading it, and obviously because it's manga, I was going through it a little faster than the anime, but I got to this point where it was Himmel's well, all right, hold on. Actually, in the manga, after they all like split up, you see there's one panel with like one page with a couple of panels of Frieren just doing some things. Frieren, sorry. And then she comes back to town, and suddenly Himmel is like super old, bald, and has a beard. I like that, because it's kind of, that's what it felt like for Frieren. Her lifespan is so long that it just kind of feels like she's messing around, continuing to live her life, and then she comes back, and suddenly the human that she knows is super old and decrepit and stuff. Which to her is like, it's just par for the course. But then during the funeral scene, some people mention something. They're like, oh, isn't that one of their comrades? Like, she's not even, how heartless. She's not even crying. She's, she's so stoic. And then she actually does start crying, because she's like, well, and this is in her mind, from her perspective, she's like, I don't even know this man. We only traveled together for 10 years. She's an elf. 10 years is like nothing for her. That's like a blip. That's a day, 2 days,
Yeah.
So to her, Himmel might have been practically a stranger. However, I like how later on, as the show goes on, she starts remembering things and there are some things that even subconsciously she held, right? Because he complimented her study of magic, so now she's like, oh well, it's a hobby of mine. I like to learn new magic, you know. I like it. It's definitely refreshing.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one of the things I was gonna bring up later on is that like when you go through like see the backstories and like people ask her why do you do what you do, and then right after they ask that there's a little backstory and it's like Himmel like mentioning how much he likes like her like knickknacks for magic, like her love for magic, and that's what made her make the knickknacks, going to find all that stuff her hobby. Yeah. Like he motivated her, but she didn't realize it until later on when people started asking her why you do this, why you do that.
Right.
You can go ahead, sorry.
That's so realistic too, dude. I don't know how many times in my actual life I've sat down and just pondered a bit. I'm like, wait, hold on. Why is it that I do this, or why is it I feel this way, or that I respond in this way to certain social interactions? And eventually I'll come across, I'm like, oh, well, this happened to me in the past. So yeah, that makes sense. I can't imagine if you've lived over 1,000 years, like how many times that could have possibly happened. Because Frieren, maintains that she's just, oh, I've just been living through life. I've just been whatever, right? And she seems very apathetic, but she's not. She just doesn't know how to, or actually, it's one of those things where like the feelings come too late.
She's emotionally distant.
She is emotionally distant. The feelings come a little bit too late for her because were she a human, it wouldn't matter if it took you like a couple of weeks or a couple of months to come to these conclusions, because then you could just reach out to the person and be like, hey, by the way, I just realized, I've been thinking so and so. But for her, like what would be a couple of weeks or a couple of months for her, for us, I mean, is like years for her, decades,
Yes. Yeah. I love.
So by the time she catches up, like these people are already like old and decrepit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jared, you were gonna say?
No. I love that already. This is where the conversation went because, we recently had a voice actor on the show, Courtney Taylor, amazing person by the way. She voices the main female protagonist in Fallout 4. She is Ada Wong in Resident Evil 6 and 7. She is in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Magic in X-Men 97, so on and so forth. And we had a conversation within her episode, which is basically what you just brought up, Mauro and Chaz, where like there are things that has happened in our lives in the past that we didn't know it at the time, but it made a giant impact or paved the way to where we are now doing what we do, and like the why from it. And like we kind of got to discuss that. So like for me, like she was asking me, so like how did right now you're interviewing me, you interview other actors and whatever, so like she asked me like how did I get started in this, and so therefore I went on this whole spiel explaining like how, and I'm sure you remember this, Mauro, like in middle school I was very shy. Like I would consider myself socially awkward and introverted, right? And I only ever had like a few friends, including you and like the other people we would hang out with. And it wasn't until like high school where like I started becoming, more confident in myself, coming out of my shell, whatever. And that gave me, being in high school and the JROTC program allowed me to become more confident in myself and like become extroverted in that way, I guess. And having those leadership skills being taught to me by like, my army instructor and all that stuff. And then fast forward, like all these things led up to the creation of this show and like where we are now. For example, so I feel like tying it back to Frieren, I think that's a good point that I didn't like make that connection that you guys brought up of like, yeah, Himmel kind of started this little side hobby for her, and now that's like kind of all she does now, and she loves it, so I want to extend the question to you guys of like, what do you guys think? This might be like too much on the spot, but like, do you guys have something similar to that you guys do now that like you never noticed that it sparked very early on?
I guess for me, the closest one I can think about right now, or the clearest one I can think about right now, it's like my first time watching anime. as I told you guys, grew up watching Dragon Ball. My first night watching it, I got in trouble for something in school. And as a kid, I grew up and I was like, I did not like I didn't like my life. I didn't want to poo-poo or nothing, but I just wanted to escape. And I end up like flipping through channels one night after I got yelled at. My grandmother said I can finally watch TV before I go to bed. She's like, I can watch like 30 minutes of TV, and that's when I ran into Dragon Ball. And I just thought about like how cool would it be to be in that world, to be able to do those things, to be that unstoppable, to be that control, and then also be that protective, to be that guy. So, and then like that was my dive into anime, and now like every time I watch an anime, like no matter what anime I watch, I put myself in that anime. Even like the horrifying ones, like what was the there's a horror anime I watch. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Another. I don't know if you ever heard of that anime. I even like diabolically, I put myself in those animes. Like, wow, I'm walking down the stairs, and like even at moments when I'm walking in the building, I think of scenes like that. I'm like, get any umbrella away from me right now because I don't feel comfortable.
So yeah, imagine if your grandma never like. What if she said no, that you can't watch TV?
Like no to TV. That I don't know what I'd be into right now. Right. Honestly,
actually, I do. Not to piggyback, but I do, thanks to you, Chaz, I do think of one in particular that sometimes comes to my mind. When I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, there was obviously I was young, so I always thought that like, yeah, movies are, why read a book when you can just watch a movie? But I had a teacher that worded it perfectly. She said, and I even remember her name, Miss Ordonez. I don't believe she'll ever listen to this. However, though, thank you for shaping a big part of my psyche, Miss Ordonez. She talked about how, for example, if a book was talking about a castle, right, and the movie, like some director decides to make a movie, and their vision of that castle could be like this very bleak, regular castle, some like black or something, or like very muted colors. But maybe when you're reading the book, the castle is like vibrant and it's tall and it has all these like stairways, and it you know, the just the general vibe of the castle is different because that's how you personally imagine the castle. I use that even without thinking about it. When I decided to read books, I started reading books. And I'm not like an avid reader or anything. Like the things that I read are very self-serving. Like, you know, Game of Thrones, the Witcher books, the occasional like sometimes I'll read like Colin Woodward's Republic of Pirates because it's like an actual account of how like piracy was in the Caribbean back in the 1700s, and I love pirates. But that sort of thing, like the Percy Jackson books too. Like I want to read the Lightning Thief because I've watched the movie. However, there are some things in the movie that I'm not like super fond of. Same thing with the Harry Potter movies. I've watched the movies, but I bet the books are even better because this is just somebody else's vision. And when you read, it's your vision, your imagination, everything that has to do with you, your interpretation of the source material. And for some reason, it never clicked before. But once she said it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Reading does have, and obviously 3rd grade, I was like 9 or something. But like, I understood the value of reading because it definitely comes with a lot more freedom. You don't have to be restricted by the vision that the director had when they were reading the book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm reading the book, I want to picture it this way, so this is the way that it's going to be. And it definitely helped my imagination a lot. I'm an artist, I play video games, I write stories. Imagination is a big thing for me, and I often say that I'm not very imaginative, which is true, but it helps. That sort of thing definitely helps. You know, it helps you puts me in the shoes, puts me in the world, and just lets my mind run wild.
See, those are 2 great examples of like these small little things, how it starts and then it becomes a bigger part of you. And I feel like Frieren, the show as a whole, is able to not only showcase that for even just the small things for Frieren herself, like collecting knickknacks and spells or whatever. I think the spells came from Flame in the past, but regardless, I think the show also has a big emphasis on appreciating relationships and people that you know. And I feel like that resonated with me heavily, in part because, like, again, one of the entire core premises of this show is about friendships, is about relationships, is about, you know, extending that and appreciating people who we have on the show as well, you know, for extending that to guests and all that stuff. And even with us, obviously, you know, we're exposing each other to new things. We are friends outside of this show. We, you know, like, again, I've known Mauro since middle school, and Chaz, I've known you since we started college. Like, that's not a short amount of time, but also, again, grand scheme of things, within a human lifespan, 10, 15 years, that can be considered very short. But anyways, appreciating the value of relationships, I think that's one of the key things that I love about this show, and I wanted to know, like, your guys' opinions on that.
Right. Well, even like something that could seem short to us, right? Because I have Jared, you are currently probably the friend that I've had for the longest time.
I agree.
Because I don't believe I know anybody. Yeah. Like, there's nobody, like, middle school. This is a 10+ year relationship. The friends that I have right now, I've met in the past couple years, right? Like 5 years max. I do have like a high school friend. You know, he DMs my Dungeons and Dragons. We work together. He's one of my best friends. But again, that's like from high school, and it's not to say that, like, oh, longer friends matter more. It just means that, like, I like one of my absolute bestest friends right now. I've shouted him out like before.
Yep.
His YouTube channel, Rogue City, but his name is Anthony. And I've only known him for like 3 or 4 years, but whatever's happened in those 3 or 4 years is so important. And this is something that Frieren is learning throughout the show, because it's or the manga or whatever. It's not how much time you spend with somebody, it's the amount of stuff that happens in that short amount of space that is so valuable and so precious, you know? Because to her, 10 years is nothing. 10 years is like a week, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, less, because there's a point in where I was reading where they say something like, oh, the Council of Mages, right, that like makes, like, authorizes you or whatever, was founded half a century ago. And she goes, that's like yesterday, no? So like 50 years for her is like yesterday. 10 years must have been like a day for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand. I completely understand where she might feel detached, but it's her coming back to those things. Every time they go to like a new town, they're like, oh, the hero Himmel, we have a statue here for him, or he defeated this dragon, or he pulled the sword from the rock, or whatever. And she starts thinking about that and being like, yeah, I get, you know, yeah, that's true. He did shape a lot of me.
Valuing friendship, I will always value friendship. I do, how to describe, I feel bad for Frieren because, like Mauro said, like 50 years ago is like yesterday to her, so she doesn't get to value the friendship with humans as much as she would like to, because she knows, like, even for Fern won't be around forever,
right?
But in regards to me, all of you guys have been there for me in ways that I can't even imagine that I can be there for you guys. You guys are like a great emotional support to me at all times. Like, even like you doing this podcast and then like starting it and then inviting me onto it was like one of the best changes that happened in my life, especially getting to this job, this place where I am currently that I cannot speak too much about, but it causes a lot of stress. And you allow that, like, you open the door for debrief where I can like come in and reset. And like, I know to you, it was like you just wanted a friend on to the show with you, and that's great. But like you saved me in a way. Not in a way you did. You saved me, and I appreciate that. You're like the other half of sanity that I need to get through my days. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my wife. She does a great job. Even she knows, even for me, I am not 100% her savior all the time. Like, I'm helpful, but I'm not 100%, and she has her other resources to help her out. And I just appreciate you guys all for that. But like, Raven doesn't get that. She gets yesterday, and then that's all she gets out of a human.
Right. So would you then another question that I've been wanting to talk about, and I know I'm like hogging the mic and I'm sorry, but something about Frieren that something that popped up watching Frieren that made me want to ask here is like, would you consider the show is more about grief, growth, or healing? Because I feel like there's no hard answer, but in my opinion, I feel like it has to do a lot about growth, not just for Frieren herself, but even for the characters we meet along the way with Fern, with Stark. To me, I feel like it's more about growth for all these characters, especially these characters, because we're actually going through years at a time, months at a time. Like, we're seeing these characters grow literally in front of our eyes. We've seen Fern from a baby, or from a little kid to a toddler to an adult now. Like, literally we've seen them grow, but like we also get to see like a crush start forming between Fern and Stark, and there's a lot more examples, but like I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's definitely growth. Hard answer for me.
Growth is the hard answer for me as well. Because it's not only like the Stark and the Fern and like Frieren, like figuring out like she actually did have some type of like feelings for him. Or they may have not been romantic, but she cared a lot more than she thought she did. And like, as you see, she's like, she remembers, and she's like the ring. You remember when she finds out about the ring and the reason she got it? Like, she didn't understand it. So she just had it in the box, and she's like, "Oh, it's just a gift that was given." And then she found out the reason for the ring, and then she held it closer. Like, it wasn't like just something in her box anymore. She cared about it. Like, if it went away, she would have been upset about it.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you guys say growth so fast, because I feel like, and I think this just might be because of storytelling, but like I think grief is a big, I guess, motivator for Frieren, because she is grieving Himmel now, and like she loses her original party members, and then she's like, God, I want to do better, and then heal.
I think maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe it's guilt. I don't know about grief. Like, yes, there's grief. There's definitely some like aspects of grief, but it's mostly, in my opinion, guilt. She feels guilty for not having learned more about Himmel while he was alive. She feels guilty for Heater, right? Which is why she spends all those months trying to figure out, like, decode the book. And then when he dies, she's like, okay, I'll take on your apprentice. It's there's some guilt there, definitely, but I don't think it's just guilt. I think Frieren is the type of person that is slowly learning that, the people in her life, like, you don't have to do something out of a sense of duty. You do it because they believed in you, so you believe in them. There was in the last chapter I read, the Craft was like, oh, I will honor your memory. We're both elves. I can honor your memory. And then she has a flashback where Heater is like, I can honor your memory for you. You don't have to believe in the goddess. You don't have to believe in heaven. I do, but I believe in it because I would like to be honored after I die. You don't believe in it? That's fine. I'll honor you. And, the flashback ends and she's like, hey, you don't need to do that. Somebody's already honoring me. And that's that one, it's growth. She's growing. And two, that like guilt that she has over like not learning, not knowing about people slowly starts to like dissipate. There was a point where it was before they even met Stark, Frieren and Fern were at like this place, this like restaurant or something, and Fern is like, "Oh, you want a pudding, right? I know you. I know what you want." And she's like, "Damn, I don't know what you want. I don't actually know anything about you, Fern." And she starts that's growth as well. You know, the same thing. Like she realizes that she's traveling with this person and she doesn't really know a thing about them, but this person does know stuff about her. So what does she do that episode? She buys Fern a little hair thing. She buys Fern something else. I can't remember what else she bought Fern, but like the epitome of it was that Fern is like, hey, even if you don't know exactly what I want, the fact that you went out of your way to try is good enough for me. Like it warms my heart.
That's it. Another reason I say the show would be about growth as well. I don't know if you remember the priest Sign that they went through, like Sign, and he had a best friend named Gorilla. Like it was
yeah.
The name awkwardly
Gorilla
was
Warrior.
Gorilla. Yeah, and like he had to go through growth as well because he wanted to be an adventurer, but he couldn't because like he felt as if he needed to stay in his hometown to be a priest, and he was like, how to describe? Fern and Stark help him look at it from a different perspective. And then another growth moment was, what's her name? Siri? The oldest elf out of all of them, the one who has the knowledge of all spells.
Yeah.
Siri. Yeah, even Siri has a little bit of growth going on because remember she like when you first meet her when they were Flame and it's just Fern and she's like, I don't like humans having magic. I don't think they should have it. And she's like gatekeeping it, and then Flame got the human council to agree to letting humans have magic. She still didn't like it then, but then as like the years go on and she starts having these first class exams and everything, and as you see her, like as she let people in, the ones who pass, her eyes open up a little bit towards humans. She's like, okay, maybe I can with humans having magic. Maybe humans aren't as bad as they suppose. Because she also took on her own like disciples outside of Flame. She took on Lornan, the old man, the decrepit old man who's a first class mage.
Right.
And then you found out why he's a first class mage because I didn't think he was that strong, but then he was somehow able to wound Frieren. But like you see the developments in that. Even when he fights Frieren speaks to him and she like says words that open his mind to like magic is more than just for combat. Like, congrats, you're strong, but you disgust me.
Right.
Yeah. Yo, I'm gonna be so honest with you. I'm kind of over humans in fantasy, bro. Like I'm a human. Me personally, I'm a human, and as a human, I'm over humans in fantasy, dude. Like I've been playing The Witcher a lot recently, The Witcher 3, and there's this arrogance in humans in high fantasy and mid fantasy settings where, dude, you got elves, you got dwarves, they've lived for hundreds of years. You're a baby in their eyes, yet you're over here trying to like oppress them, or you're trying to like learn things or act like you know more than they do. Like, I'm over them. I hate humans.
I wouldn't say humans are too bad. Humans are also broken in fantasy because their capacity to keep up with a creature who's been alive for 1,000 years is also diabolical.
And that's fair. That's fair. I hadn't thought about that. That's true.
Think about like how long Frieren has been like training her mana to keep it stable and everything. And he was Frieren at the ripe age of 12, keeping up with Frieren. And I don't know if you guys remember doing the first class exam when there's like, oh, Frieren's in there. She's the copy. How do you think we're gonna do it? And Fern simply raises her hand and she's like, I can kill Mrs. Frieren. What the hell? What the? He's like, 14, motherfucker.
Well, that's the thing, right? Maybe elves, because they have so long, they don't train as often. Like, imagine, because like Frieren herself, she's said this multiple times. She's very open about this. She's just kind of drifting through life. Right? Mm-hmm. She does get better. She's been training like her mana suppression for the entirety of her life, or like a big portion of her life, but that's all she's been training, you know? She even says it herself. She sends Fern out to fight the monsters because Fern does it faster than she does.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I think it's weird that like Frieren's been alive for 1,000 years. And like Frieren and her like love for magic, she searches up all these magic abilities. Frieren has like a infinite amount of like capabilities to remove things faster than Fern. She just chooses not to because she also doesn't believe in like utilizing magic for combat.
I think it's because humans have a very short lifespan. They're like, I got to do as much as I possibly can in the short time that I have. Whereas with elves and dwarves, they're like, well, I practically live forever. I could take my time. So humans are going to realistically advance at a faster rate than elves because elves are just taking their time. They're doing it at their own pace. Whereas humans are like, well, I have a deadline. Like even if like I die at 80, years 50 through 80 are not going to be my prime years. I only have about 20 years of like, this is my prime,
Mm-hmm. And now that you say that, like Frieren did have a conversation with somebody. I forgot who it was with, where she was like explaining that to them. Like, usually elves can they can postpone whatever decision in life they can make. Like, if they got a big decision, they can just say, I'll answer your question about 200 years ago.
Yeah, I'd love to be an elf.
Yeah, and what you call it was explained to like we don't have that time. We don't decisions have to be made. Oh, she was talking to Siri about it when she brought back the note from Flame, talking about Flame got the thing. Like, the council agreed to let humans study magic and everything. Yeah, she's talking to Siri about it. Siri's like, yeah, usually we can postpone, but humans are just so rushy all the time. I don't like that. And in her little time of being alive for 60 years, she has done more than what I thought can be done in 300 years, is what Siri said.
Can we talk about like, okay, sorry, I don't mean to like switch topics, but the thing that drew me into this anime was how, or I guess manga, because I've been reading it, was, and I keep saying this word refreshing. It is refreshing, dude. Like, okay, let's talk about Soul Track for a second, right? When Frieren is explaining why back then they had to seal the demon, but right now, like, if they like take the demon out, they can literally just kill the demon. And Fern is like, well, I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? Soul Track being outdated was such a smart move. It's something that this guy came up with, and then he was frozen. And then they were like, okay, let's just learn about this. We have time to learn about this. We have time to perfect it. We have time to make it our own thing. So and that's why it's so cool being an elf, dude, because you have like, by the time this guy comes out, it's been a couple lifetimes for humans, but like Frieren is like, okay, well, now it's been a minute. I know the thing that you used to kill people back then, which was like your main thing, now it can be blocked with like right now, that's what you used to be feared for is now basic level offense magic. I love that. That's so fucking smart.
I do love that. I also love the disrespect she also had to say that even in this world, basic defense and magic is enough to defeat any human.
Yeah.
And said, Fern, you don't need to know more than just here's an attack, here's a block, all you need.
That's all you need.
What
if they come from you? What if they come from you from behind? Okay, just circle. Sphere.
Figure it out. Or like that's a waste of mana. Like just pinpoint block. And you like see that like during one of her combats I think it's in the first stage of the first class exam, where she's taking on Aerie and she's like barraging her with like rocks and boulders and stuff, and she's just choosing exact points to block to like save up the mana usage. Like she's learned very fast in her short amount of time, and I get that, like, because Frieren has years. Frieren can go back if she gets exhausted of trying to do one type of training, she can push it off for like 300 years, but Frieren does not have that time.
And I also, do like go ahead.
I was gonna say also her race against the clock for Hyder. She wanted to be considered a full-blown mage before Hyder passed away.
Yeah. I okay, it's a little tragic. There's a lot of tragicness in Frieren. Not not so tragic that you think this is like oh man, this is a very bleak anime or manga, but it is there is some tragic stuff to it. Like in the later on when they go to like the Phantom Forest and stuff, and Hyder materializes after having told Frieren, hey man, like I'll materialize if you behave good, if you're a good girl. That Phantom coming in and being like, I've chosen to materialize right now, you've been so good, even though she knows, she's like, hold on, if a Phantom shows up, I'm supposed to kill it. But like that was so foul. That was so foul, bro. Like I remember reading that and being like, if I was Fern right now, I wouldn't know how to react, because he did tell me he was going to materialize if I've been good, and here he is. But at the same time, this is a forest full of phantoms that are supposed, like, that's these are my precious memories. What are you doing?
Yeah, I do love that the capabilities monsters have in this anime. Speaking of abilities, can we go over some of the abilities of the characters?
Do it.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I have a couple favorite ones. Land. Let's talk about Land for a second. I don't know if you guys remember Land. He's the one with the doe face, the glasses, the blonde hair. He's the one who made clones.
Yes. Yeah.
I think Land has my favorite ability because not only was he succeeding in taking his first class exam, he did it all from the balcony of his porch while drinking tea.
That's right. Yeah.
Like he made clones that could sufficiently take damage, bleed out, cast spells as if it was him, and never attended the physical exam himself. So like
never had to physically leave his damn balcony.
Yeah, you don't find this out until the end of the exam where Sari is like, oh wow, you're really not gonna show yourself? And he's like, on the contrary, I'm over here. And she's like, no, on the contrary, I see you on your porch. You're not slick. You pass. And I was like, oh my God, Land. You haven't been here the entire, you had me fooled. Every time a clone died, I was intrigued that, all right, the real one's behind him. It worked. Cool, dude's dead. And then that one would die. I'm like, all right, now I have trust issues.
Yeah, I really like the magic system in this show. It's as Mauro would say, it's refreshing. It's unique. There are like, yeah, there are water spells, there are ice spells, but like I feel like there's more variety of magic that can actually be practical in a sense, or in a universe where magic is just a thing. Like I don't know, compared to My Hero Academia, there's just superpowers that can just do the thing for some whatever freaking reason. Okay, great. This guy's head is a bird. Why? I don't know. He has shadow powers. Why? I don't know. He just does. Cool. But with Frieren, there's a little bit more to it than that. Like the guy, like you need to learn not only basics, but there are specific branches you can also learn, which I think is really cool.
Ubel, do you remember that one?
Yes.
The assassin mage?
Yeah.
She put a great perspective on it, and she said, I think magic is based off your personality. And I was like, that is absolutely kind of cool to like think that like you create, like, yeah, you branch off on the different magic types, but you create your own magic eventually when you get old enough to like visualize it yourself.
Right.
Because that's how she was able to be the first class mage, Sensei. She was like, oh, I'm perfect for Sensei. And you're like, you're a third class mage. How are you going to take on the first class? And she's like, because my magic says I cut what I deem cut worthy.
Yes, right.
And I was like, oh my God. That was like, to me, that was Escanor mentality. She's like, if I deem it worth to be cut, it will be cut down.
Right. Yeah.
And it goes to like, I guess it goes the same for the other mages. Richard is like, he's headstrong. He's determined on what he wants, and he wants to be done as soon as possible. And his mindset is the larger the barrage, the better. So it makes sense that his ability would be wielding like earth in a massive amount.
Hard-headed.
He doesn't just shoot
Therefore,
pebbles. Yeah.
earth powers.
Yeah. And I just find that kind of cool. I haven't like quite caught on to everybody else and the way their lives affect their magic ability.
Right.
And like I will learn like Laughlin's ability. Laughlin is the one who did like the swapping and the stealing because she moves quick, but she leaves a magic residue behind. I want to know what in her life made her go through that way of learning that magic spell. And the same thing for Land. I want to know what Lan had to go through to the point where he has trust issues so bad that he won't leave his own home, but he is still a great mage from where he is.
It's very personal. Like,
yeah,
it's very personal to each character, like the kind of magic they use, and I think that's fitting for the kind of show that this is. It is a show that it gets personal, not just with you, but with the characters here. Like, we have this time, like the show isn't a fast-paced show. Like, it takes its time to really like flesh out everything and makes you feel like you're also a part of it. Like this is a living, breathing world, like really. And I feel like that is said with every aspect, including the magic system.
Yeah, I have to agree with the whole like this is a living, breathing world thing, because I feel myself sucked into it the same way the characters are in. Let me elaborate. So there's a point, right, where before the exams they get to this town where there are demons in the town, but the prospect there is that, oh, you know, we're in the peace talks with the demons. And Frieren from the get-go is like, no, demons are fake. They use words to try to elicit empathy from humans so that they can just take advantage of them. Frieren is a person who's been around for a long time, and even so, even having known this, even having read everything, I was skeptical of what Frieren was saying. And you know, she got arrested, and we got a flashback, but then later on there's a scene where Graft is pointing a sword at one of the demons, talking about, you know, my son died in this war, and he was fully ready to kill these demons. But then the demon is like, well, my father died in that war too, so I understand what it means to like keep the room clean and think about this. And it actually made Graft put his sword away. And then later on, literally the same chapter, the demon's subordinate is like, hey, what's a father? And the demon goes, who knows? That like it, immediately I fell for it, you know?
Right.
I, the reader, fell for it. And then I'm like, the second he's like, oh, who knows? Like, I don't know what a father is. That's just something I say that makes humans stop being hostile. I'm like, oh, damn, Frieren was right. So it's, yeah, like I've been reading this and I've been immersed to the point where like I'm in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely know what you mean.
It's very interesting, and I love this type of story because it makes me, when I read something or when I watch something or when I play something, specifically when I play something, it's escapism for me.
Yeah.
Chaz, what you were saying earlier about being like I'm in Dragon Ball, I'm in this world, I get that fully, especially with video games. I want to be part of this world. So for a manga to do this for me, it's crazy, it's insane, and I don't feel as often. So the fact that I didn't have to do a ton of like when I do have to, when I feel like I want to be immersed in a world, I'll go into the wiki or I'll read the forums or I'll try to learn lore about this. I had to do none of that with Frieren. It does a really good job of immersing you into the world and like tricking you, even though the answer is in front of you the entire time.
Yeah, man, it's I love slice of life animes. I love shonen. You know, I love the high action stuff. But like this show balances all those different other types of genres together, and it feels unique, even though like the setting is something that we see all the time within anime. So I feel like this show does an amazing job. Also, on top of that, visually, like the show itself, it looks like a Ghibli film. It is so freaking pretty. I love how everything is drawn and how everything looks. Like there's some spells and stuff that like I see like some graininess in the particles and stuff in it, which is awesome. The shooting stars scene was so cool. Was like because like the shooting stars looks like, I don't know, liquid. Like the fire looks liquid, just like in Ghibli. Yeah, like dude, it's such a pretty anime. Like, oh my god, like everything about this show is so freaking good, and I love it.
Actually, now that you bring that to mind, yeah, the shooting stars remind me of Howl's Moving Castle.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
The lake scene where the stars were falling. The stars look exactly the same now that I think about it.
It's a Ghibli quality show where you just you're literally living and taking your time within a Ghibli film. Ghibli films are long in their own right, but like, this is 28 episodes. It's not a short anime. It's not super long. It's like nothing crazy, but like even with the pacing of the show, it's not like rushing. There's no point in this show where I feel like they're rushing through a story or rushing through an episode. It's taking its time, like we've been saying, and it's just like I want more. I want to stay within I want to stay within this realm, you know? And I'm so happy that I finally got to, you know, watch this. I finally like decided, you know what, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna knock it off my watch list. So yeah.
Chaz, this is a question for you. I've noticed, and maybe this is biased, but I've noticed perhaps a Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire connection. The fact that it's a fantasy setting, obviously, but the one of the main characters, his name is Stark. There's a scene where Fern herself says, literally, winter is coming. Do you know about any intentional connection with Game of Thrones, or are these just like coincidences?
I would not be surprised if it's just a reference.
Yeah, I don't know of connection.
Yeah.
Also, I don't watch Game of Thrones.
All right. Well, yeah, just real quick. Like, okay, so Game of Thrones obviously is like a fantasy-esque, like low fantasy show. Set in the same medieval period. One of the families are called like the Starks, same name as Stark, and then their family motto name is "Winter is coming." And there was a point where, and maybe this is just like a translation thing, but Fern herself says winter is coming when then they're in that snow level. I just thought it was a cool thing. But
sure
maybe
reference.
I'm just like. Yeah, maybe I might just be reading too much into it, but maybe it's a reference on purpose.
Yeah.
No, I tried to watch Game of Thrones. I couldn't get into it. First couple of episodes. Like, don't get me wrong, I love fantasy world by all means, right? But to me, there was just so much like sex in the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
Right. Where's
Sex
the
position.
plot? All I know is that this midget lives in a whorehouse and winter is coming. Give me something else.
That's so understandable. Don't even worry about it. Remember, this show came out in 2011.
Yeah, but no, like Jared said, this anime is great. It has like the combination of like romance, slice of life, and it has a good amount of action in it. It's not boring. I loved all of it.
It's got a lot
And
of
it's
funny
also very
moments.
aesthetic.
It really has like funny moments too, and I love that in anime. Like when sometimes like the anime will act like this is real, like these characters are actually just making each other laugh, or they're doing things that will like elicit laughter. Like when it was Stark's birthday, right? When it was Stark's 18th birthday, and Frieren is like, "Oh, I have this drug that melts clothes," and Fern is like not impressed, so she takes it and she burns Freeman's clothes with it. I thought it was kind of funny, like it reminded me of One Piece a little bit, with like these characters just interacting with each other outside of the plot, just like in a way that's like the way humans interact with each other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The gimmicks are absolutely amazing. I think the main gimmick in this one was Frieren always getting stuck in a mimic chest.
I love that. Even when there was no mimic around, you'd find her like stuck underneath like a pile of books or some shit. Like I love that gag. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Where do you guys believe this show is going to? Because, sorry, the question itself is, how do you guys believe this story is going to end? Because there was a scene where they come to this village and there's a whole statue that like there are 4 statues of the original Heroes Party, Himmel, Hyder, the dwarf. Man, what's the dwarf's name?
The dwarf's name is Eisen.
Eisen and Frieren. And for some reason, when I saw that, I pictured one of two endings. Either the bad ending, the way I call it, which is where their stories have definitely been forgotten, you know, and it's like the last panel or scene is those statues like decrepit, not taken care of, just, you know, like everybody's forgotten. Or the good ending where a gajillion years in the future, Frieren is already dead, all of these people have already passed by, but the statues still live on. I think that would be like an amazing ending. Because it's, at the end of the day, grief, growth, guilt, whatever, it's a story about remembrance, in my opinion. And I think it would be so thematic if the story ends with years down the line, another couple thousand years, Frieren is already gone, but the statues live on and the stories live on. What do you guys think of this?
I think, first of all, I don't want it to end. Because this is easily a series or a book series, an anime that can easily just be kept going with new characters that Frieren meets. You were just following Frieren on her journey, but I think that would be a very nice, like, whenever that time comes. First of all, seeing how different the world has changed whenever like Frieren passes or whatever. But I feel like the show is more about, in my opinion, is more about appreciating relationships, because that's something that's always been important to me. That's a lesson that I've had to learn throughout my life, and that's something that I truly take to heart. Of like, you know, if I'm gonna put in X amount of energy into this relationship, you know, I would love for that to be reciprocated, but like also, you know, if you're not, I'll do my best to do good by you, and you know, I will go above and beyond and stuff like that, and that's something that I always look for, and like I want to trust people that they'll do the same, you know, and I want to have these relationships, these friendships, whatever, be the best that they can be. And that's, I don't know, that's something that's always been important to me. Whenever I make a friend, whenever I meet someone who I want to be friends with, I'm like, listen, I want to put in the time and energy to know who you are. And I feel like that's what we do here as a show as well, even with guests. And I'm just talking about personal life, you know, like I want to do this,
right?
And believe me, I will.
Right, yeah.
And Frieren, the show and slash the manga, I think it's a perfect series where it's actually talking about that, because I feel like it's very taboo, or like there's this weird societal thing of like where we don't talk about making and sustaining friendships and like boundaries, and like what else do we need from a relationship, platonic, romantic, whatever, to like keep it going. Why do you care? What do you want out of it? What's the end goal? You know, like why is it important to keep this? Why do you want to know someone? This and that. And I feel like as a society or as people, we don't talk about that. I feel like it's weird that like people just like assume that, you know, nobody cares, and it sucks because like nobody wants to have the conversations of like, listen, if you let me, I will. But that's also got to go both ways. You know, I don't know. I think I'm rambling a little bit, but like I feel like Frieren talks about these things, or at least opens the conversation for these things, and that's something that I truly love about this show. All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Razzle Dazzle Show. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet. Follow us on our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one.
Next time on the Razzle Dazzle Show.
I had sort of like a guiding hand in the art style that people see when they look at the promotional art for the game. And, you know, I can say I did the logo and the UI elements and stuff like that, which people aren't ever quite as excited about. But what I can say is that I had a big part in the writing and a big part in like guiding certain aspects of the game to where it is now. You know, I can take some credit for that. I can take credit for being like a powerful, opinionated voice in the project, and who I now feel like it's enough of my own baby as well to make more creative decisions about it down the line. And I'm striving to like learn more about the programs we use, so I can have a more heavy hand in feel more confident in what I've done for the game.
Tune in next week.